old, but I didn't. I don't have that much rest. Oh no, I do not. My poor dog sitter kept saying he's just. She would send me pictures.
I took a shower this morning. Right?
Oh, there's a lot not here. We have to go back in. I wasn't even in.
Robin Tracy.
Ed is changing. He just arrived. So he's in the phone booth changing into it, and Meg is on her way. I didn't see you there. I'm just keeping. He babysat today, so well, Callie, Christian had to go home for a physical. So he had to go to the dentist yesterday. 14th. The first week, he got the exercise. But I guess they were able to go down and still two. We call I'm going to tell him I babysat my watches, his Toy Story character. Every time I go there, Callie makes pictures of Toy Story. He's obsessed with So. So what are you doing for the holiday? Nice. Oh, that's where my niece lives.
Is that right?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
just something a little different. Traffic's still at school, and that's still not coming, a little bit.
Yeah. No, actually, my daughter wanted to do it. So I was jumping on that. I said, "No, I'll make whatever you want me to make." So I'm going to make a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to. So it's easier for people than with kids because they don't care. Well, she's doing it like 2 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock, I didn't see that. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm wrong.
Yeah, so, she was.
That was just my guess.
Alrighty. I want. I recognize it.
All right. Good evening. Sorry, I know we're a few minutes late, 5 minutes late. We're going to call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I know it's beautiful out and you guys are still here, so I appreciate that. Well, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. I want to keep since I'm the reason why we're a little late tonight, I want to keep my my comments brief. But first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to our April meeting. Thank you everyone for coming. Like I said, first nice spring night we have out here, so I appreciate you coming in. I know our COVID, we have a few COVID cases in the school. They're rising. I'll let Dr. Siniak speak to that. But again, I'd like to, just thank you to our staff, teachers, parents. I think we're doing a great job. School's open. We're maskless as we want to be. I'd like to comment on Holy Week for many religions in the next few days. And I hope your families have a great holiday and we can all enjoy a break. I see William here tonight. I'm going to call you out. I saw you on Facebook for your egg hunt. I hope you're doing public comment. You're with some friends of mine this week, and they said great job. So these are the things, positive things in the community, and some other positive things in the community. Instead of talking about the things that divide us over the past few months, I like to talk about the things that unite us, like William's egg hunt, like different. We have many parents here. I see some union people here, teachers, staff. UPK, I think that was glossed over the past few months. It's huge. Many districts wish they had this, and we got the funding for this. We have 52 seats open. I'll let Dr. Siniak, I don't want to steal your thunder tonight, but I'm going to talk about how I'm very proud that this is something that's done under this board. And we're going to have seats under TLC, Merrick Woods. I think We Friends. I don't want to mess up Dr. Siniak, but this is, I wish we had this when my children were younger. I'd also like to talk about under public comment one night. And I have to tell you, I think we've been a very transparent board. When we can't do something, I think we've given you the reasons why, our opinions why we can't do something. We might want to do something, but we legally cannot. But we've been very transparent. We welcome. I haven't timed you guys at all. We go back and forth. It's more of a town hall, basically, the past few months. But the fact that a parent came here and said they had a problem not having before care school by a few minutes, and it was impacting both his wife and himself and his children who attend our schools here. Within 5 minutes, Dr. Siniak, we met with them afterwards. And I'm stealing your thunder, Dr. Siniak, but we got that happen. We made it happen within a week, within the next day. So she'll put that in her report. But we take this as an opportunity. We want you to talk about different things. We welcome whatever you need to tell us. We're very open. Dr. Siniak, myself, our board members, we get your emails. We're happy to talk to you. We can't address it in the few minutes that we have, and once a month, we will talk to you offline. So I just want to reiterate that. And I'm going to say I've been saying this for every month for 3 years. So anyway, and I'm going to end it because we're at 7:12, I think, right now. And we have a lot of other things to get to, more important things than me talking. And I hope you have some public comment tonight. I hope it's, worth your while coming here. Dr. Siniak, I want to, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Ryan. So we are going to move. Welcome to everyone. Glad to see you all on this spring evening prior to our break. We're going to now have our budget presentation. Mr. McDade, our Assistant Superintendent for Business, because the budget adoption is on the agenda for this evening, and it's always been tradition to have the final presentation by Mr. McDade. For those of you that have been attending our budget meetings, there have been 4, and a lot of the information, all of the information you will see this evening, you would have seen already, but it's always good to see it again. Thank you, Mr. McDade.
Thank you, Dr. Siniak. Once again, thank you everyone for coming here today. It's funny that we're here now. We started this whole process over 5 months ago. We started the whole budget process. We started meeting with everybody to figure out what the budget was going to be, and we're here now today. So let's get started. The good news is we're starting off with the tax levy. Anyone that saw the prior presentations, a lot of this is going to be exactly the same. Not much has changed at all. We're staying at the tax cap maximum, which is at 2% levy increase, which is a $487,656 increase. By staying once again at the tax levy, tax cap maximum, it allows the district to go out for a vote of 50 plus 1, which means we have to get 50% of the people to vote yes plus 1 person. If we had gone above that number by $1, we would need a 60% supermajority. So what does this mean? Well, one of the good things is that this is actually the third straight year that the district has come in at 2% or less in regard to the tax levy. And also, it is the sixth time in the past 8 years. Why do I like bringing that up is, well, the simple reason is by staying under 2% or at 2%, we've been continuing to do a lot in this district and not asking much of the taxpayers in regard to the levy. So we've been able to keep it as low as possible. So we're very proud of that. The revenue sources. Once again, this is the same presentation that was online earlier when we did revenue back in February. The only difference this time around is the levy is the same. The state aid. The good news is state aid is going up nicely this year. What is that though? The reason why it's going up as much is that the state is now increasing foundation aid for all the districts along Long Island and the state, and we're receiving about $600,000 more in revenue for that, which is great for a couple of reasons, mainly because benefits have gone through the roof the past year. So one of the main things is a lot of that revenue is going directly to health insurance and retirement insurance for the district. So that's good. But now the other part of it is also the building aid. If you remember, we went out for a $14.6 million bond a number of years ago for the boilers and the windows and things along those lines. All the cost reports have been submitted for that. So we're now receiving that money back, which is an additional a little over close to $230,000 in revenue that helps pay for the debt service for next year. The use of reserves, this is what I talk about each time around, is dollar for dollar. Whatever the expense is in the budget, that's the exact amount we're using in revenue for the district for employment reserve, TRS reserve, as well as ERS reserve, which is the teachers retirement system and the employment retirement system. One of the things we're really proud of, and we've been working on since I've been here, is the appropriated fund balance. What the appropriated fund balance is the amount of money that the district takes from the current year's budget and gives the following year. And as I've been saying, year after year, it's become more difficult to be able to do that each year. So one of the goals of the board has been to get that down as low as possible, because we have to be able to put as much money back into reserves at the end of each year. So I think it was about 5 years ago, we were at $790,000. We're now down below $300,000, which in my opinion is amazing for us to be able to do. And one of the main reasons why is because it helps us financially in the future. So we're not dependent on saving as much from the budget to be able to put back. So that's one of the very important things. So now the total revenue is 3.91% increase over the year before. That is going to be the budget-to-budget increase for next year. So how does that break down? Over the course of the past couple of months, we've given presentations in regard to the three-part budget. The three-part budget has been the administrative portion, the capital portion, and the program portion. Once again, not much has changed over the past couple months in regard to those. The numbers are very, very similar. So what exactly is it? Well, as we said the last time, the administrative budget is all the expenses for administration, Board of Education, the financial, the auditing, the insurance, supervision, records management, conferences, and all the benefits that are associated with that. The administrative portion of the budget represents 12.75% of the budget. The capital portion of the budget. What is the capital portion of the budget? As you see, it's everything in regard to the nuts and bolts, the operation, the maintenance of the school facilities. Everything associated with that, as well as any purchases for buses or debt service that the district has. That represents 13.79% of the budget. One of the things I want to reference is in this current budget, we have a transfer to capital of $239,000. What exactly is that? As you see on the bottom, it was a little hard to see, but that transfer to capital is going to wind up being repairing the roofs at Camp Avenue, repaving the outdoor basketball courts, replacing different exterior doors at Camp Avenue, and also in regard to the lighting. It's also going to be replacing exterior doors of the boiler rooms at HDF, which is here. Replace 2 pairs of exterior doors in the front elevation at HDF, and repair and repoint the masonry at Fayette here. And it's also going to include, out of that $239,000, repair, replace, and isolation and waterproofing of the membrane of the roof ductwork at Old Mill Road. That $239,000 represents a lot of work that's going to be done that's going to help the facilities stay up to date. The last portion of the budget, which is 73% of the budget, is the program portion of it. That's all the teaching staff, the psychological services, the health services, all the activities, the transportation, the community service, as well as special education. That represents 73.46% of the budget. What happens a lot of times, everybody asks, well, you have the numbers, what does it actually mean? Like, where is all the money going? We talk about it time and time again that 80% of the budget winds up being salary and benefits. That's all the staffing and the salary associated to the staffing, as well as the contractual benefits that are associated with it. So out of the entire budget, 80% represents that. Then it's broken down to equipment, contract services, BOCES, which is 5.85%, which is good for us because, once again, we've talked so many times that we receive almost a little over 60% back from the state whatever we spend, which is phenomenal. And that's also one of the other increases that we have in state aid is using more BOCES. Our state aid for BOCES is going up next year too. So once again, we always like to use as much BOCES services as possible for that. And 3.42% is also the debt service, which is the bond that we're paying off. So as indicated earlier, the budget-to-budget increase is a 3.91% increase, or a $1.3 million increase budget to budget. Of that, only 2% of the increase is going to come from the levy. One of the things at this meeting that we're supposed to discuss is, okay, we have the budget vote that's taking place on May 17th. What happens if we don't get that 50% and one vote? Well, what happens is we have three different options. The district may resubmit the defeated budget the following month, a new budget that can either be more or less or the same for a revote to see if it passes. You can go to a contingency budget or just not do anything at all and take the contingency at that point. But what happens? What is a contingency budget? Well, a contingency budget is basically taking the levy from last year and only having zero increase. So what does that mean? A zero increase in the levy would mean we'd have to cut over 487,656 from the current budget that we were just discussing. Well, one of the things with contingency, they tell us exactly what has to be cut from the budget. It's not like we can just pick and choose anything that we're cut from it. They tell us certain things that must go first. Certain things that must go first is the capital projects that we just discussed earlier at length, non-instructional equipment, the maintenance of the projects, supplies, elimination of pro bono expenses, and professional development. In addition, contingencies, they also tell us that we need to look at anything that's not required subject in classes, non-mandated support services, extracurricular activities, staff reductions, and you also need to look at class sizes. Those are the things that we have to look at to make up that 487,656 increase. That's for the entire levy. One of the things I always like to end with the past couple of years is the Board of Education has approved certain exemptions that for the taxpayers that you can take with your home taxes. One of the ones is that we have the property exemption for firefighters and ambulance workers. There's the property exemption for senior citizens. There's a disability limited income one. They've also approved over the years the Cold War veterans, as well as the alternative veterans exemption. One of the things I like, it's on the website. What happens is if you go to the website, you'll see that link that's in green that you can't really read right now. You can click on that one, and it's going to bring you to the website that's going to show you all the different forms that you can file, that if you fall into one of these categories, to be able to lower your taxes. And that is the presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDade. Never get tired of it. I'm good. Okay. So I'd like to move forward with my superintendent's comments. I'd like to echo some of the messages from our board president. Very excited that our Before Care program next year will start at 7 a.m. I think that will help a lot of our working parents. I'd also like to share that when we have music rehearsals, early morning music rehearsals, I have asked the principals to staff someone in the lobbies of the building. So if children do arrive a little early, there's adult supervision as well. So when we do find out about any issues, we do address them immediately. And it's always about the safety of our students and to make sure that they are never unsupervised. Additionally, I've spoken with Ms. June Smith about enrollment for next year. And, we kind of went down the journey of, we were one of the only few school districts that offered before and after care during COVID. And we did it all within the guidelines, and we were able to provide a very good service to our parents. Now that we're moving out of COVID, we're hopeful that the staffing for the program will increase and that everyone that has enrolled will be serviced. And usually, sometimes it may take a week or two because people do drop out, but we are watching that enrollment closely. And I know those registration dates have been advertised. But if there is ever an issue, I do meet with Ms. June Smith on a regular basis. We are always in constant communication, and we are always brainstorming to solve any problems that are brought to our attention. Another good part of next year's budget is that North Merrick has joined the BOCES COSA for Nassau BOCES Diversity. They host recruitment fairs. They have roundtable monthly meetings to share resources and materials when hiring new candidates. So always good to network with neighboring districts and Nassau BOCES to ensure that only the best of the best are hired here in North Merrick, and that we get a vast array of candidates, and it allows us to open our eyes to many more candidates by sharing these resources with other districts. UPK, thank you, Ms. Ryan, for highlighting it. We have 52 seats and a wait list, but late Saturday, we were awarded some additional seats, about 22, 23. We are attending, Mr. McDade and I, a webinar tomorrow to finalize that. And that may have us go out for another RFP after the break. We're not sure. We have to get our information tomorrow, but the 52 seats will be awarded. The bids of those programs, community-based programs, will be awarded this evening. As Ms. Ryan said, we have TLC at Brookside and down Merrick Avenue. We have We Friends over at Gunther in North Belmore, and we have some seats at Merrick Woods. So we're very excited for that tonight. And those emails will go out to parents this evening after the board approval. Meet the Candidate Night is on May 4th. Mark your calendar. Ms. Long and I met with our PTA presidents yesterday. The PTA at Harold D. Fayette is in charge of the event. They will be working with the League of Women Voters to ensure that it is run efficiently and effectively, and it will be here at Harold D. Fayette. Time to be determined. I believe it's 7 p.m., but we will put that out there. Field of Flags, so excited that our annual Field of Flags event will be held on May 12th. I don't know about you, but when you drive down Merrick Avenue and see those flags blowing in the wind on the lawn of Fayette, it really brings a sense of pride to myself, and it just gives you that feeling of, wow, that is amazing. So looking forward to that again. We did still host that event during COVID because of the importance of it. But this year, we'll be able to have more guests at the opening ceremony on May 12th. If you haven't signed up for any summer programs, please check our website. There's so many offerings out there. Here at North Merrick, our doors are open, and we're looking forward to seeing our children all summer long. I would be remiss if I did not speak about the yoga event held on Saturday, April 2nd at Old Mill Road. Mr. Merrims was there, as well as Ms. Talbot, and it was a fun time had by all, and we're looking forward to bringing an event such as that into our schools for our staff and for our students. Our COVID cases, we have been distributing the weekly chart, and you will get one tomorrow as well. We've seen a slight increase, but schools are open, as Ms. Ryan said, and students are learning. And it is still our goal to keep everyone safe and healthy. And we're looking forward to a blessed break over the next week and a half, and a healthy one at that. College and Career Week was a huge success. Lots of great interactions between professionals and our students. I had the opportunity to work with our fourth grade students, and I thought that their questions were truly amazing and creative. I don't know if any of them will be a superintendent, but if they become a superintendent, I will be attending their board meetings to see how well they do. But they are truly an inspiration in the fact that they're thinking about their careers now, they're thinking about their future now, and that is so important. And that is really a tribute to the work that our teachers do each and every day, and they have endless possibilities. So thank you, teachers and staff. Theater arts, what an amazing weekend a few weekends ago. I had the pleasure of attending Friday evening and hosting it. Mrs. Friedman hosted the Saturday night show. Mr. McDonough was there with us and said that was the best night out he's had in a very long time. We had Annie, we had Bye Bye Birdie, and we ended with Shrek. The students were thrilled to be on the big stage once again, as they were at the concerts. Big shout out to the staff, Joyce Kelly, Lisa Sokol, your team, the amount of work that went into it. You need to understand that this began in November under COVID guidelines, and we emerged out of COVID with a production. So there was always modifications. We adapted on the fly. And at the end of the day, it was a true, wonderful evening, wonderful performance. So thank you. Looking forward to more spring events, outside fun days, field days, PTA book fairs outside. So looking forward to seeing everyone, and just looking forward to engaging our students in our traditional North Merrick activities along with their parents and our staff. I wish everyone a blessed week and a half off, regardless of what holiday you celebrate. We're all in this for the same reason. That's for our students and for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siniak. Very thorough. Thank you. Lot going on here. Thank you. All right. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve our routine approvals 4A, 4B, 4C. Motion to approve. Motion by Mary Keene, second by Steve Anella. All in favor? Aye. Unanimously passed. Public comments. So I think we're doing back to 2, right? We're doing 2? Yep. Okay. So this is just on the agenda items only. Ms. Long, I've got it right. Guidelines for public comment. I'm going to read it once. I won't bore you twice. Any person wishing to make comments or raise questions shall fill out a comment card. After you're called, please come forward to the microphone and state your full name. All comments or questions shall be directed to me or Dr. Siniak. The board or administration will do their best to immediately respond to any questions. Out of courtesy and fairness to the rest of the audience, each person will be limited to his or her remarks to no more than 3 minutes, not to exceed a 30-minute session. Public discussion with respect to confidential matters is, of course, prohibited. So tonight, right now, we're just doing agenda items only. So if there's anyone, I don't know if we have any cards on agenda items only. Mr. McDade, none? All right, here we're moving forward. All right, I'm going to pull out 6A because it's the proposed budget. And I'm just going to ask for a motion to approve 6B to 6N. Give a motion to approve 6B to 6N, the other items.
Motion.
By Ms. Keene, seconded by Mr. Anella. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And we're going to go back to 6A. So first, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve, this is the first motion. The Board of Education adopts 6A. The Board of Education adopts the proposed budget for the 2022-2023 school year in the amount of $36,020,048. So just a motion by Mr. Corona. Before we do a second, is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, I would
Ms.
like to
King,
have a
yes.
discussion. Everyone's done an incredible job from A to Z. Tom, with coming up with the budget.
Speak in the
Obviously,
microphone, just-
everyone, our teachers and all our professionals who work with the kids, everyone's done an incredible job. But for me, my vote tonight is mostly based on the fact that I'm very concerned about our placement on, or we're on a list now of being financially distressed. So my vote with the budget tonight is directly connected to that and my concerns for the future.
All right. We're going to go in order. So I'm going to take this next, Mr. Corona, and I'm going to say my vote is going to be in support of the budget. And I'm going to give a few reasons why, and then I'm going to pass it over to, we're going to just go in order again, this discussion can be as long as we need it to be. But as I mentioned previous times, both publicly and executive session, and I think our council will agree, the purpose, the only fiduciary duty we have as a board member is to make sure that our board passes a sustainable budget for the upcoming year. That's our only purpose. All this other stuff is all BS, let's be honest. So we can get good things done, we can do things, but it's a budget. The budget's the most important thing. We've gone to we've had budget committee meetings, we made them live streamed, we've changed times, we made them on separate days. We have them in the afternoons, we have them in the evenings. Mr. McDade is always available. I've made it very clear, if you have a problem with the budget, if you're sitting on this board, I'm just speaking very directly right now because that's how I am, if you know me. If you have a problem, you come up with a solution. You don't wait till you're not in the fourth quarter waiting for telling everyone that you're not going to pass a budget for whatever reasons. I'm going to give the reasons why I think we need this budget passed. First of all, we went through why we're in financial distress. That's political. Mr. McDade has acknowledged that. We had COVID. We kept our schools open. We didn't lay off one teacher. We didn't cut one program. We increased programs. We gave our children H2O. We gave them yoga. We haven't shut down. We've been open, and I am very proud of that. And listen, I'm running next year, but I'm not electioneering. I don't care. If I'm on this board next year, I don't care that we get our budget passed. Number two, I think it's very important that, you don't like something, you fix it. You give us a proposal. Why wouldn't you want this passed? Well, you sat here, all of us. We went to every meeting. We were in executive session. This is what we're presenting to the public. If you're not happy with what you're presenting, then you work overtime. You show up, you work nights, you come in daytimes, mornings, evenings, whatever it takes, and you fix it. You don't just come in at a public meeting and say, I'm not voting for something. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about this because I think it's wrong. And lastly, I'm very proud of everything we've done here. We've gotten, and I've worked outside of my scope as president, just as a parent, as a concerned resident. I've lived here my whole life. My children are here. My husband's back here right now. No matter what, we've tried. And I met with politicians. We got our playground money. We're trying to get more playground money. We got our UPK. We're doing great things. So I think honestly, I think it's very disheartening for any board member to not vote for the budget when you had an opportunity to come time after time, everybody here, including Mr. McDade, including our Dr. Siniak, all of our principals, all of our union presidents, all of the staff that are here right now, and parents. And, if you had an issue, you should have fixed it at that time. You don't wait until 7:35 when we're trying to adopt the budget and we have to get this, to the public to say that you have issues. If you had issues, which I know you have, Ms. Keene, I know you have mentioned it. You said you wanted to make cuts. You said that you didn't tell me you never told the public what cuts you want to make. You said we're administrative top heavy. I'm looking at the administrative sitting right here. The administration of the school is sitting here. If you top heavy, you should have said what we should have cut, what you want to cut. And that's where I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to ask for a few minutes for a rebuttal because I know I'm going to need that. But I'm going to go to Mr. Anello, our vice president, if you have any comments on this motion. Thank you. Okay. All right. You can give your reasons why you can vote yes, but
I don't mean it is what it is.
A lot of hard work went into this, and I think.
We always do. We always do a lot with a little. That's the big thing around here. I always feel like we're always trying to do extra, like you said. So that's what it's all about. It's the budget. So I will vote yes.
Ms. Moran? I will also vote yes. Let's close the budget. Ms. Crone, any comments? This is just, we're not talking about votes,
Yeah,
just
we're
about any
just talking
comments,
about
sorry.
that.
Public
I
discussion.
just have a question for Ms. Keene. So we've heard Mr. McDade explain many times about that list. I'd like to ask you, what do you think we would solve by voting the budget down and going, go ahead.
For me, it's the bloated administration, and I've been very, very public with my concerns at the last budget meeting. Meg and I basically went at it until we were cut off. It probably happened tonight if that happened. I've been concerned about the administration costs I was present at all 4 budget meetings. My concerns have never changed. We're a K-6 district. We have more administration than we have school buildings. It's 1,200 kids. I could go on and on and on, but that is my concern. And as,
I'm going to ask you,
and
you
as a
should go on and
trustee.
on, and I think it's important that you do
And as a
tell the community
trustee,
why.
I'm
don't
also
wanna-
representing the taxpayers of North Merrick.
So
And
we all,
Right, we all are. And where our taxpayers have 2 sets of administrators. We've got our K-6 administrators and our 7-12 administrators. So we are very, very heavy administration-wise.
okay, let me
All
finish
right, I'm
that.
going to,
So I just wanted to
no, wait,
finish.
I want to interrupt. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to, first of all, you made a very good statement that you're representing the taxpayers, and Mr. Corona said the same thing. We're all here to represent the taxpayers, and as I mentioned before to you, I don't take that lightly. When someone votes for you, they put their trust in you. And sitting up here, a lot of parents can't come to the 4 budget meetings. They can't come to the board meetings. I couldn't when my husband was working nights and we had little children at home. We couldn't come to every meeting. It wasn't live streamed. So you put your trust in the elected officials that you put up here. And I would be concerned if someone, that I voted for did not vote for a budget or did not support the adoption of a budget. I would want to know why, and I would probably follow that person's lead. And that's why I want to be clear. I think it's very important for the community to know that, that we support the community in supporting the budget. But I just want to I want to ask Mr. McDade, if the budget fails, I want to know if you could just explain to everyone, and it's live feed so the people that aren't here can watch it later on, what happens if our budget fails? And that's, if you could just go through what happens to this. I appreciate that. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's no problem. As part of the presentation we gave earlier, which will be online, probably about 10 o'clock tonight, that you can go back and look at the whole thing in regard to contingency. What happens in contingency is that the board is given the option to either put up a budget again on June 17th or 18th, which can be more or less, or then if it goes down a second time, what winds up happening is you have to cut 487,656 from the budget, which is the tax levy increase. You can only levy the same amount of taxes that you levied the year before. So then once you have to subtract that amount of money from the budget, the state comes in and tells you, okay, these are the items you have to look at first. You have to look at all the capital programs. You have to get rid of all equipment. You have to look at all the classes that are non-state required, things along those lines that you have to look at.
And would you identify what classes those are?
First of all, would there be summer program? Will we
Yeah,
all do summer
summer's out.
program?
Summer would
Summer's
be
out,
You would look at
art,
art,
music.
the non.
All the things that we sustained, all the
Theater
programs
arts.
that we sustained during COVID would be the first ones to be cut, correct?
Right
looked at,
after
looked at.
the capital.
Right after the
Yes.
capital. So capital, then those programs,
Mhm.
And class sizes.
and then
Right.
class
You can
sizes
look at
would
that.
expand.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Cron, I cut you off before, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Just a couple of things. First of all, the bloated administration, as you call it, didn't put us on that watch list. That's one. Two, there's a list I don't want to be on, and that's a district that's on contingency. We talked about all these programs that we're going to lose if that's the case, or you vote down our budget. Also, something I want to touch upon that our president mentioned, we've been through this process for months now. And although I've heard a lot of reasons why you are against it, I did not hear any solutions or any suggestions of what we could work to. And this is what we do here, on the Board of Education. We discuss, we problem solve, we brainstorm, and we think of ways that we can do things differently. And I heard a lot of brainstorming as we talked about ways to pay for all these incredible programs we have with very little money. And we do a phenomenal job of that here in North America. I'm just a little disappointed that we didn't hear more of problem solving and simply throwing out things like we have a bloated administration. That's the reason I'm voting down our budget.
I don't know if it was mentioned before when I stepped outside that also our state did increase. It was reported in Newsday by $884,773 too.
Correct. That's reflected in the budget that we.
Right, so that's included in the budget.
Correct.
Also, another question,
One
if
of
we
the-
do,
Well, sorry, just going back with that, one of the main things, the driving forces of the budget, once again, is benefits. The benefits, health insurance is going up, went up 12% this past year. That's one of the major driving forces. Of the
And we
budget.
have no control over that.
No, and that as well as the ERS and TRS retirement systems are numbers that are given to us by the state that we have to then go to the salaries of those people and say, okay, I think it's like 12%. That's what it is. That's what you have to put.
And who
aside for
sets that, Tom?
The state sets that, not
Mr.
us.
McKee. Right, not us.
And Mr. McDade, how do we change that? If possible?
The only way we can change that is if legislators do it, not us.
Your other elected officials.
Yeah, the other elected officials.
Elections have consequences, so.
Well,
All
when
right.
we vote on it, it's public. Every 10 years, we vote on whether we want to open up the Constitution.
Oh, for that, the
correct?
Constitution, yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
but
and that's how you change the mandates of the 80% that we
Correct.
can't even touch every budget, correct?
That's one of the ways.
Unless we had positions that we no longer had.
no, that's,
One of the things that we were discussing earlier is, I think it was discussed at one of the budget meetings, when you take, let's just say you take out my position, you get rid of
Can
my,
you speak into the microphone?
say you take out my position, okay, so my salary comes out of the budget. So that's that 1 year savings that you have. The following year, it's already out of the budget, but you still have the driving forces of the benefits that are still going up the same amount. So you're gonna have the same problem. You're gonna have the 1 year savings, you have a 1 year savings for it, but the following year, you're still gonna have the same driving forces that are raising the budget each year.
But is it only a 1 year savings if we get rid of your position? Not that we're going to. But then
A
you're getting.
position, not yours,
A
Ms. McDade, it's
position,
a
But then you're
position.
getting rid of the health care and everything else. So
But
it's more than just a year.
But the following year, that position is not in the budget. It's only in the budget for the year that you dismiss Tom, and I will use Tom. And, no, poor Tom.
Yeah.
And then the next year, when the budget is created, that position is not included in it. So it's not included as excess revenue upon the end of that school year, as it is the first year when it's still in the budget, but the person is not in the budget anymore. So
Yeah.
that's what Mr. McDade, I believe, is
Correct.
referring to as a one-time savings.
I hear what you're all saying. Anyone that knows me, if you were at the budget meetings, I have an issue. I have an issue with, I feel that we're very top heavy. I've said it many times and,
I'm going to say, I want to be very clear. I mean, I think I've heard, I mean, we did discuss this publicly.
pretty publicly, yeah,
Back
the
and
last
forth,
time.
and I have not, I mean, that's fine. But my issue is that if you have an issue about positions or top heavy, and I said it 3 weeks ago, I'll say it again tonight, then you should sit down. I said we would have met anytime. I never got an invite. I never was asked to meet with you or anyone else, but, and I'm always available. What are the positions you would want to cut? Who would you cut? How much would you cut? When would you cut it? And that's it. You could sit here and say like your taxes are too damn high. That's
Yeah,
great. It's great
absolutely. And
rhetoric.
we can
but
go back and
wait,
forth
we-
here
I'm not
all
going
night.
back and forth, but
It's-
no, it's you never did it. So this is great that you're sitting here, but you
legally,
didn't
we
go
have to have
back
a
and say.
superintendent.
You
Legal-
can sit there and say what? No, we're above the superintendent. You can't blame the superintendent. This is-
No,
we
no,
are-
no.
this-
Legally, the school
legally.
district has to have a superintendent.
Of course.
So then
Why
I'm
would
saying.
we cannot get rid of a
So
superintendent?
apparently, Tom, it was me.
No, what I'm saying is that it would be more cost effective to hire someone per day or per project than employing someone for a whole year.
Again, I'm going to just reiterate, I've never seen any proposal by
So
you. Not
we're-
true. I mean, Mary, Ms. Keegan,
Yeah,
you've
could
never.
we just agree to disagree? 'Cause-
No, I'm not. No, because this is very important and this is
Yeah.
something for the community. I mean, no, this is why we're here. I'm here. I care about, and we all care about where we live, but this is what our fiduciary duty is. And I think it's important. We need to tell the community why we are supporting the budget and why we're not. I'm advocating that we're supporting a budget. That's why we're here. Mr. McDade spent the whole year putting this together, put together 4 presentations, live streamed it, answered many emails and phone calls. So did Dr. Siniak. So did our board members here. And it's very easy to say we agreed not to, we can agree to not to agree. No, we can disagree. No, it is, you did not come forward and say, listen, I don't agree with line 47. I want to do this. I want to cut this. I want to cut that position, that position. You can't just sit here at the 11th hour. And this is not, I'm going to say, I think it's very disrespectful to the community, to the members that put you in, the residents that voted you in, to not give reasons why you're saying administration's too top heavy. Okay, well, what did you want to cut? And if we cut a position, who's going to pick up the slack? Because
What programs, who's going to do what that work is done? Every time I've come into this building, and I do come in here, people are working. They're working. So who's going to pick up the work that you cut a position? Who's getting that work? And who's going to agree? And I don't know who here is from the union, but who's going to agree to take that work and not get paid for it? I wouldn't agree to that. And I don't think it's for our children. We're going to cut. So we're going to cut programs. We're going to cut teachers. We're going to cut administration. How? So I'm saying you're sitting here. It's like we can agree to not to disagree. I think that's very. I think that's very flippant right now. I don't think you can do that. I think you have to explain what do you disagree. What are we disagreeing about right now? Tell me. This is what we said 3 weeks ago, and you didn't. I'm sorry. We can move on. We'll move on. I don't want to waste everyone's time.
Because we're not going to agree here.
But you haven't put anything.
You didn't even give us a chance to agree with you, Mary.
You did not put anything forward.
You didn't even give us, let me say one thing.
We're not going to talk about executive session. I was pretty vocal in executive session, so.
Well,
Mary,
everything
just
executive
let me
session
say
is being
something.
leaked out on Facebook anyway, so I don't really know what we can talk about anything you want.
Okay.
But I'm talking about,
What I'm-
no, when you have a budget budget's public, it's been public. And when you disagree with something, we have a $500 million corporation. I'm in charge of you say we don't like 47, we don't like line 48. We want to put in, instead of $50,000, you put in $45,000, or we want to cut that position and make it 2 part-time positions where we don't have to pay benefits. That never came forward. I have not heard one, and I'm sorry, if the board members can disagree, please, this is a discussion, it's not me. What have you put forth? Please, this is your time right now. What have you put forth that you disagree, that what would make you vote yes on the budget? What could we change on the budget right now? I'll adjourn the meeting right now. We could have a special meeting tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we can revise the budget to your liking. And I think it's very important for all of us to be unified, for the community to know that we support a budget that they can vote on, go in there and feel confident that we did our work. This is our work. It's not just Mr. McDade's. It's all of our work that we spend so much time on. So, tell us, what can we do to fix this, to have your support?
Problem is too, Megan, and I'm not. We can't do it.
Well, you're voting yes.
I'm voting yes.
She's voting no, apparently. I'm anticipating that she's going to vote no.
For 10 years that I'm on the board.
All right, so what can we change to get, you're here, we're here
Really,
to,
there's not much that you can change. 89% of the budget's already accounted for.
84.
that's why I'm voting.
84?
I'm going to vote yes. You don't have to talk me into it. I'm trying to figure out.
It is very frustrating.
Well,
Okay. That's the only issue is you say you want to get rid of positions. You can't get rid of positions.
That's what Ms. Keene's saying. We're too top heavy. What position? I want to know. Why is this a secret? I don't understand. What positions you want to get rid of?
I'd like to hear her
What
solution.
positions you want to get rid of? I think that's public. You're saying you can't, but you're voting yes. She's voting no. She's saying we're too top heavy.
That's her opinion, though. That's what she wants.
But she's here. It's not her opinion. She's here representing constituents.
Okay, and that's what they put her on this board. Just like
To
all of
vote
us.
down a no budget, without any information, but she didn't put any effort into it. I'm sorry, Ms. Keen, I'm sorry. That's how why is this a secret right now?
No, it's not. It's not
How
how
I
she
feel.
feels.
I'm
It's
asking
our
for
job
data.
as a Board of Education to put forward a budget. That's our job. You can't just say at the end, when we're about to vote on it, to say, I think we're too top heavy. It's a horrible, she
did-
should have
yes,
said
she
it
did.
weeks
She
ago. She
100%
should have said it
she just
months
said,
ago.
right,
She should
you're
have said
mentioning
what
that.
she didn't like and try to. If she had voted no after months of her putting through suggestions
very sad.
and things that we all rejected, I could see that, but that didn't happen. It's not about just an opinion when you walk up here on the last day.
This
It's
isn't an
about
opinion. We
it's
represent
about months of work,
residents.
and it's too passive. You can't be passive on a Board of Education. You've got to be active.
All right,
I'm
so
certainly not passive. I have an issue that we have more administrators than we have school buildings, period. That's it.
That's a wonderful slogan for like a bumper sticker, but could you give us a solution to
And
that?
I'm not,
we-
I'm not
I'll
running
answer
for
Ms. King.
election, Ed. I'm telling you, this is my feeling as a taxpayer of North Merrick. I see, the fact that 70% of our taxes now are school taxes. And it's not going
So what's your
to
solution,
where-
Mary? What's the solution?
I'm
What's your
asking you.
suggestion?
That's what I
Please.
said it 3 weeks ago. We sat here on a Monday night at the budget committee meeting. What's the solution? What's your proposal? We can adjourn this.
I would
motion
eliminate
till
administrative
tomorrow.
positions, whereas I've said it's
All
like,
right, so-
it's like
and
a
I said
country
that.
club
Give
here
me a
in North
list. Give us
Merrick.
the list. Give us the list. Give us the list of positions that you want to eliminate. You didn't. You never have. I'm not moving on. This is the most
No,
important
this is
thing
ver-
we
yeah,
do for the whole
absolutely.
year, Steve.
What's-
Sorry.
Specifically, we don't need a superintendent and a deputy superintendent, which very specifically, we don't need two of them. We need one.
Okay.
In terms of
Okay.
buildings and grounds, we could hire someone out rather than paying for the salary, the pension, the healthcare per project.
So no building, so what does that mean? No building and ground at all? Just have a vendor?
Paying someone, yes. So then we have our custodial staff who are awesome. One of them taking the lead, paying them more would probably be cheaper than having a position, a buildings and grounds position in North Merrick for 3 elementary schools.
So essentially what you're saying there is take one custodian, make him in charge of building and grounds, and just pay him less.
No, pay him more.
Paying less than our
Yes.
superintendent. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. You just want salary cuts. That's something we could have discussed.
So let me ask you a question. Then why don't we adjourn this right now? Have Mr. McDade run the numbers for this and come back,
I'm okay with that.
in 48 hours or Friday, I mean, whatever, whenever you're available, and then do a comparison budget. Because are those your only issues, the custodial staff you want to keep, get rid of buildings and grounds, and get rid of the deputy superintendent?
I don't think we need 2 positions.
Or we have to have a
Okay.
super, so.
Yes, legally you have to have a
Yeah, you can't have a
superintendent
superintendent. So you're saying get rid of this deputy superintendent position?
position. Not, Beth, not Beth, because I
I'm talking
love
about
Beth.
positions. We're not talking
The
about people here.
position.
We're talking about positions.
Yes.
So I think we can move on with the rest of the meeting. I'd like to adjourn. I'd like to 6A, Neil, would move, table it. I'd like to it's a motion is on the table. I'd like to, I guess, a motion to table 6A, and then we have a meeting to revisit it after this.
Motion.
So I'm going to ask for the motion. Mary, Ms. Keene's
Motion.
going to, Mayor, okay, Kathy? All in favor? All
Aye.
right, so we're not going to adopt the budget, and let's move on then. I think that's important, and that's what we're here for. So, we have a motion to approve 7A, the personal action report as detailed in the mailing.
Motion.
Ms. Keene, second by Ms. Moran, all in favor? Aye, thank you. And then a motion to approve 8A through C
Motion.
by Ms. Keene, second by Mr. Nell, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. A report of the committees, high school, I think, Ed, you're the
Okay,
one.
here we go.
Ms. Miller's not here, so it's up to you.
Okay, so at our high school meeting last week, we actually honored all of the all-county athletes from our winter seasons. It also included the Calhoun girls track team, winter track team, county champs for the first time in school history. That was very exciting. We approved our budget, which is a 2.11% increase in the levy and a 4.08 budget-to-budget increase. The school board also appointed a new principal from Mepham High School. We picked Anthony D. Martinez, who's currently an assistant principal over at Calhoun High School. And yesterday, we celebrated our Founders Day, an event where our PTA honors teachers and parents throughout the community. A very big event. And we had it at Dave & Buster's. Kind of interesting, but post-COVID. All right, and that was it.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Corona. PTA Council, School Committee.
I don't have the notes, but PTAs are still doing incredible things. They're doing incredible fundraisers and lots of events.
80s night was great. I went to that.
Yeah,
thank you.
Fayette doing great things.
That was
80s
great.
night, that was a big fundraiser. All the schools are doing great things. Their next PTA meetings are the 27th. Fayette and Old Mill Road are at 7 o'clock in person. Camps is also in person at 7:30. And Dr. Seniak, I don't know if there are so many fundraisers going on.
And Mr. McDade will be doing the road show with me on April 27th and going to all the PTA meetings with me to give any highlights and answer any questions about the budget as he does annually.
So just quick, Camp Avenue, their plans for a visit from the Butterfly Guy for their third graders. The science fair was a success. The children were able to show off all their hard work. The judging was 4-4. The awards were given out on April 5th. Their spring fling is the 29th for 4th and 5th graders. Oh, Camp Avenue's auction was a huge success. It was good that they had it again. A lot of people came and they raised a lot of money and they were glad to have it back. They have maple craft food fundraisers going on. You can order pancake syrup, French toast, and all other good breakfast items. That ends on the 30th. And orders will be delivered directly to your house. And their planned sale pre-order, it ended on 4/1. Parents can pick up their orders on May 6th. Yearbooks will be submitted and ordered. That was the other day. Old Mill Road, they're planning for the upcoming Fire and Ice Assembly, which will be held in 3 sessions on April 25th. Staff appreciation's coming up, so looking forward to that. The planned sale will be in person on May 6th. The installation dinner will be held on the 8th at La Piazza, and they're planning a family night for the spring. It's going to be outside and working on plans for field day. And then Fayette, Ready, Set, Go was on April 7th and 8th. The kids made picture frames and read a book. And the kindergarten rocks, and then, no, I'm going to skip that. The science fair was a huge success. They had over 50 participants, 30 projects presented. The students produced great work. Family bingo night was held on the 8th. They had raffles, refreshments, and fun. Each person was given 10 bingo cards, a bingo stamper, and water. 80s night, as Meg just mentioned, was a great success. They had over 40 people attend, and they sold raffles for 50-50. Another successful fundraiser they held was their spring book fair. So just a lot of great things going on. And a next big fundraiser for them is the Yankee game, which is against the Chicago White Sox. The tickets include a hot dog and a drink, either a water or a soda, and a New York Yankee backpack. So all really great things going on, and all the PTA meetings are the 27th.
All right, building and grounds.
Mr. Carter had a family emergency, so I have the
Sure.
highlights, ironically. Sorry.
That'll have no pending
resist.
resolution. Go ahead. Can't make it up.
We received our building permits from State Ed for the additional cooling centers at Camp Avenue and Old Mill Road cafeterias. Mr. Carter performed a walkthrough with the mechanical engineer to finalize the details prior to bidding out the project. We also reviewed and will be bidding the electrical panels for the classroom AC units. Big round of applause. But with prices what they are, this may need to be done as an alternate in case the money we have allocated isn't enough. So we are working on AC from a electrical standpoint as well. New sign at Old Mill Road, and it looks amazing. We want to thank Mrs. Talbot and Ms. Lawler, our PTA president over at Old Mill Road, for their help getting this beautification project complete. I saw pictures yesterday. I don't know if any of you have seen the new sign with our logo. It truly is beautiful. We're going to receive money from NYSER to repair the Camp Avenue roof, which was damaged in a high wind event. Mr. Carter's meeting with contractors to review the scope of work so we can get started ASAP. Select furnishings and area rugs are being dug out of storage, which were put in there because of COVID, and pushed back into the classrooms after being cleaned In an effort to get back some semblance of normalcy, we're hoping that guidance will allow us to return to classrooms to pre-COVID setups fully throughout the summer. We could get ready for that for September. Mr. Carter is also working with BOCES and select vendors on the McKevitt Security Grant, which is nearing final approval. Our goal is to update camera and security software, add some cameras and access control points in our schools, and harden our main entrances with security glazing. The district has issued a purchase order and is awaiting materials to repair the Camp Avenue windows. The windows will receive new spring balances, which support the weight of the sashes, making them easier and safer to operate. This work will be performed after hours once the contractor receives the equipment.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carter, too. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Mr. Long, any communications? Great, I think that worked out well. Unfinished business, any unfinished business tonight? New business, public comment. So now, this is the free-for-all. Any public comments? Thank you. It's not on agenda items. Anything on your mind? Come on down. Thanks. Mr. Capadia. Sure. You're on it. Okay. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening. For the last few months, I've been trying to express my opinion on the importance of diversity. So it's great to hear that the district is taking a step forward.
Thank you.
I would like to inform, for those of you that may or may not know, that April is Arab American Heritage Month. It is also the time when some celebrate Easter, some celebrate Passover, and some celebrate Ramadan. For Muslim students, Muslim students by practice are not to eat during the daylight. I imagine this district has Muslim students. So I'm going to ask that the administration of each building and the board consider the possibility of reaching out to Muslim students to see, one, whether they wish to eat, two, whether they wish not to eat, and three, whether they wish to be in a separate location. Because if any of you have to fast all day, every day for a whole bunch of days, it's probably really hard. And it probably means being around food makes it even harder. On that theme of diversity and being responsive to different cultures, for the last several months, I've been asking that the district think about what it wishes to do to celebrate different cultures, including during Hispanic Heritage Month, Asian American Heritage Month, Women's History Month, African American History Month, and so much more. So instead of me pontificating for my 3 minutes, which are probably almost up, I want to ask a question instead this month, which is, what does the district, if anything, plan to do to celebrate different cultures throughout the entire year? Thank you.
I'm going to defer to Dr. Siniak.
I just want to get your question right so that I can answer it correctly and truthfully. What does the district plan to do to celebrate different cultures throughout the school year? Including during the month of specific celebrations. Yes. Well, as I've spoken about before, we have our culturally responsive task force that has been created and leads the district in goals and objectives and activities through our morning meetings, through our closing circles, through our building celebrations, our classroom celebrations. All of these things are celebrated, and they may look differently from one school to another. I can certainly speak with you, meet with you, give you details of all of these events. I can gather them from the principals. Mrs. Friedman can work with me on that. If you're looking for these specific activities that go on in each building and in each classroom, in each grade. Would that suffice? Okay, I'll be reaching out to you. Thank
You
you.
have his contact info,
Yes.
right? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kapadia. Thank you. Ms. Mitkish. Welcome.
There's a height adjustment. I just would like to speak toward what you were discussing earlier. I wasn't planning on getting up to speak, but I think it's important that residents have the benefit of the time that is allocated by the board to come up with a budget to do that. If there was a problem and it wasn't brought up, the next 48 hours is not a time to rush a decision for Ms. Keene or anybody else to convince somebody else in 48 hours to change their mind and do a true evaluation of the value of the roles, the people that are being spoken
I
about.
was going to interrupt you for 1 minute because it was my, plan to give her 48 hours. I think though that she deserves the opportunity to provide
Understood, but I
information,
think
and we
she
have
had,
time.
I think she
we're not
had the
under a gun.
opportunity.
Wait, let me just finish. We're not, you're 3 minutes. Oh, stop.
Okay,
Don't worry.
pause.
Like, you have time. But I want to make sure that, I don't want anything to be said that a board trustee did not have an opportunity to put in her or his suggestions to the board. So a day or two is not going to hurt the community. We're going to, and we're all here to serve the community. And I think
Understood.
it's giving the community an accurate and a fair, the people that voted for Ms. Keene, they want to know. Well, you don't want to, I don't want the people that voted for Ms. Keene to vote down our budget. That is how strongly I
understand.
support this budget. I think the community should support the budget
Understood.
because of the
A board
contingency
trustee
measures that Mr.
represents-
McDade.
Understood.
I
A
don't
board-
want our programs cut.
I- nor
need
nor do
summer
I.
program.
Nor do I.
That's-
Nor do I want any critical roles cut. And I don't feel that it's right for the residents who came here on the Budget Advisory Committee or dialed in during the day and heard the presentation are not going to have the benefit now to question any changes that
Yes,
might
you
be
will.
made.
Who said you wouldn't? It's going to be a public
We're going to
meeting.
have, and we're going to have a
There's gonna
whole
be a public
nother,
comment. Why
we're going to have
not?
a whole nother,
A public comment? Why not?
okay, so there'll be another meeting
Of course.
and Mr. McDade will have 48 hours to take those changes and fully
I think you could-
investigate.
my trust
Hold
in
on,
Mr.
now,
McDade,
now,
he could
I
do
really,
it in a day.
honestly, it's not about what the dollars are being saved. It's how do you replace those roles? And let's take Mr. Carter. The qualifications that Mr. Carter has may not be seen or obtained by a senior custodian. They may not be equal. You may have certain requirements. 48 hours is not enough time to determine if you can do that. You had all this time to have these discussions, and I'm pretty sure that the meeting that I was at, it was pretty vocal how certain trustees felt, and it wasn't brought up. If you're going to try to convince someone at this late hour, I think it's unfair to the residents who didn't have a chance to speak and who know the value of both of those roles and every role in this district. They're not going to have a chance to really have the benefit of that discussion that we had many, many times over and had the opportunity to ask questions. Plus, I don't think the people who would be investigating that have the time to find out what does it mean if we get rid of this person, and time to speak with the union or any other parties involved that would have some say in that or some something to add to that, to fully investigate something like that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm giving our board trustee, who is not going, is vocally, publicly saying they're not supporting the budget, an opportunity to put her proposals forth and for us to look at it and for Mr. McDade to tell us, the cost savings, no cost savings. I didn't say we're going to adopt it or vote it.
Understood.
But I think listen,
It's
you're
not
damned
just
if you
cost
do, if you're damned
savings.
if you don't. I think,
Understood. We're
I
not-
mean, I'm gonna
It's
open.
not just cost savings, though.
I didn't say it
It's
was, but
okay.
I'm giving a board trustee the opportunity who's making remarks saying that they do not support the budget. I want to know, well, what would you change? I'm giving her an opportunity to back up her opinion. I didn't say
Understood.
that we're going to
It
put
doesn't
that.
look like
I
it
didn't
was
say
a
we're going to
surprise.
change it. I'm
Okay,
saying
it just
that,
doesn't look like it was a surprise that this was going to be the way it went, so.
I cannot talk about surprises or not surprises. That's not my
I
role.
wasn't
I'm gonna
surprised because
I'm
I was
going
here
to do
during
the
the
best I
budget
can for the
advisory.
residents here, and I think
Understood.
the voters that voted for Ms. Keene, we owe it to those voters to give them an opportunity to see why she would not support the budget.
Understood, but I'm not sure that Ms. Keene
Okay.
represents
All right.
just her
Thank you.
voters. She should be, the
right.
trustee should be representing what's best for the district. Thank you.
Understood, as always. Thank you. Next, Mr. Luciano. Sorry.
Democracy in action, huh? You know,
That's what it's all
It
about.
is. It is.
not always pretty, I guess, but I appreciate the candid discussion and the extra time now that you guys are going to be putting in over the next 48 hours or so to address these issues. And I do think that it's helpful to have that kind of insight into what's going on and everything. So thank you for that. And, you know, I missed the last meeting, so I didn't get a chance to say this then, but obviously hardly needs to be said that the pandemic was a very difficult and trying time for everyone. And I think that it was especially difficult for our schools and for our staff and for our teachers. And they all performed so admirably throughout the entire time. And I think parents could see that more than ever before due to some of the remote learning that happened and everything like that. And I think it gave people much more appreciation for our teachers and our staff. And coming out of the pandemic now, the ease and quickness with which everyone, and I understand that a lot of these policies are on a classroom by classroom basis. So like how quickly so many of the teachers have moved to restore like almost entire normalcy to our kids has been inspiring, to be honest. Like my son has come home, you know, like singing and dancing about little things like going to the cafeteria and waiting in line to get his food. And the play that they went to go see at Brookside, we talked about it for like a whole week leading up to it and trying to figure out what it meant that it was Bye Bye Birdie. It was a bird that was leaving, something like that. And praying for rain so he could take the bus over to Brookside. So it really has been very heartwarming to see. And I don't think I'm allowed to name individual people, but you know, my son's teacher especially, I think has done a great job. And I think she's here tonight, but I was going to
say it.
Say the name.
Name her.
I was going to say it anyway, but thank you, Ms. Schreibman. It's really been something else. So,
Yeah.
thank you to each and every one of you as well. My question is on the budget, and I thought it didn't have to do with this budget, but which is why I didn't bring it up earlier during the agenda items, but maybe it does. I'm not sure. So I guess the state budget came out the other day, and Governor Hochul said that, you know, there's going to be increased funding to the schools of at least 3%.
I think we mentioned $884,773.
Okay, so that was already
accounted.
accounted for, the new,
Correct.
how did we account for that prior to it being included in the actual budget?
So the first presentation we gave the revenue presentation. We already had those state aid numbers. The state aid numbers did go up about $18,000 from the initial projections that we gave earlier. And what I stated earlier in the presentation, that $18,000 went to lower the appropriate fund balance to be able to, for the future, to enable the district to be able to financially save more money in the future, doing it that way. Because what happens is we don't have to save as much money in this budget to give back at the end of the year. Because as we've been saying time and time again, there's not much money left at the end of each year of the budget. That's why we've had a deficit once or twice because of that. So the more that we're able to lower that, the better it is for the district.
Well, we work off of our projections in the beginning, and then we get the final runs. But if we were to wait for those final runs, we'd be so behind in the creation of a budget. So the foundation aid was fully restored, which we were told and we anticipated, building aid as well. And the sum, although Newsday reports the 800 and something, we've already accounted for that. And with that money, you have to understand we had to pay ourselves back for the COVID expenses, which included the daily supplies, the virtual school. As Ms. Ryan said, we did not ask any unit for a freeze. We did not lay off any staff members, and we added programs. And then also the learning loss and mental health and wellness are the two big pieces of what that money must be used for as well. When we talk about the federal funding that came for COVID, that was all accounted for. The $18,000 difference, as Mr. McDade spoke about, by lowering that appropriated fund balance, we then, it was, as you said, up above 800,000 a couple of years ago. That less money doesn't have to fund the budget next year, so then there's more money to replenish reserves as opposed to counting on higher numbers to put back into the following year's budget.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer. Good evening.
Dr. Siniak, thank you for the UPK update. Pretty much answered all my questions. I just had a couple more.
Sure.
Is the goal how did the additional slots, how does that process work? And
Right.
did you just look at the wait list, and is the goal to try to get everyone on the wait list in?
Well,
and
the
just
goal is
amount of funding you
always
get back?
to try to get everyone. So we're finalizing the numbers tomorrow when we sit through the webinar. And the numbers that we're getting doesn't meet exactly everyone on the wait list, but we do anticipate that some people will turn the placement down, and then that placement drops to the wait list. So we are hopeful, but again, there's no guarantees. And this was news that came to us late Saturday around dinner time. We were told that there may be, when we sat on a webinar, a Zoom meeting with the state education department, that we may get additional seats, but we couldn't wait for those.
Yeah.
So we went with what we had at the moment, because we're all local school districts are vying for the same programs for them to answer our RFPs. So we're hopeful, and we'll have much more information after the break and after tomorrow, and we probably will have to go out for another RFP for those additional spots, but we are maintaining the integrity of that wait list.
Was that a big surprise, or like into May? Like when's the latest where, no, it's pretty much finalized?
I would say by May 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we get back on April 25th, and we're on it already, and although we're closed for a week and a half, anything that needs to be done, Mr. McDade and myself and Mrs. Friedman will be dealing with it and trying to be ahead of the game. We made many calls yesterday, and so we had a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, kind of a thing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any any other public comment? Any public speakers tonight? All right, we need to finish our executive session, so we're going to ask for a motion to go into executive session from.
Motion.
Motion by discuss matters of personnel. Yes, no, and collective bargaining. Thank you. Motion by Ed Corona, second by Mr. Nell. All in favor? Aye. So we're going to go into executive session. Thank you, guys. Have a nice vacation break. Happy
Yes, thank you
holidays.
for coming.
We're going to go into.
My only